Welcome back to Nick Lenz Comic Corner Classic Non Classics. This is episode number 2158, Doubleshot number 2052. Once again, second episode in a row, Booster Gold and Legion of Superheroes. First up, we have Booster Gold, Imperfect, Past Imperfect. Yep, this book collects issues 32 to 38. Now, this book, we actually have the start of a very brief run by Keith Giffen and Jan DeMatteis. DeMatteis, as we call him, like DeMatteis. Yeah, a very short run they have for the book. Now, here's the strange thing, though. For the Booster Gold trades, after this trade came out, the next trade came out with Wizard to collect the last 4 issues of this run. Because, in case you're curious, though, 38 to 43, not in trade. Do not know why it's not in trade. It's just that I looked at the issues. They're not historic. It's basically just a series of one-shot issues. It's only like 5 issues. I'm like, why couldn't they put this in trade? That's a really good question. So most of the story arc here, we have Booster Gold, where he's acting like a hero. We also get a view of his, a girl named Rainey who becomes his adopted daughter. And of course, she meets up with Michelle, which, of course, here's the thing. Rena had no idea even Booster Gold even had a sister. So basically, Michelle becomes her aunt because, Booster Gold's her father. So in this story arc, Booster Gold is, doing his normal thing with a hero. And they have Cyborg basically chastising him. Because, and by the way, he actually called the JLI screw-ups. And Booster's like, that's it. I've had it. He's like, screw-ups? Basically, he tries to do his best, basically, put the fact how the JLI are awesome, and the fact that Batman, Martian Manhunter on that scene, which that part is true. Yeah, I kind of get the reason why that these two got, that these two, the Keith and Jan, probably did that for Booster, because, 1, they wrote it, and 2, they probably didn't like the fact, probably at this point in time, maybe some people basically just I guess some people at the time probably felt this stuff, the JLI stuff they wrote was a laughingstock to the book. They thought it was probably the worst thing the book came out with. I personally love that stuff. I thought the book was fun. Yeah, and the fact they brought up they also brought up the stuff with Maxwell Lord. Oh, and here's the strange thing though. Did you know this arc was coming out? We also had Justice League Generation Lost come out at the same period of time. Because after Booster mentions Maxwell Lord, Cyborg is like, who is Maxwell Lord? And that is a nod to Just Like Generation Lost, which Keith Giffen co-wrote with Judd Winnick. I reviewed the first trade of that. It's a really good maxi series. It's only 24 issues. It's collected in 2 trades. I read the first one. I thought it was pure awesomeness at its finest. Yeah. So basically, you have Booster revisiting his days in the JLI. Of course, also about imposter stuff. But this book is just pure fun. Yeah, and according to, Dan Jurgens, a lot of people do point as though Keith Giffen and Jan DeMatteis are good at writing Booster. According to Jan Jurgens, the only person of these two and himself who is good at writing Booster is Jeff Johns. Now, of course, Booster also brings us something that from what I can tell, of what happened in the one-shot Countdown for the Crisis, which I've talked to Kevin McGuire about that, about when Maxwell Lord turned evil and killed Blue Beetle. Here's the thing about that one-shot. Now, it's a pretty good one-shot per se, but that scene, from what I heard, it's been it's got very much a negative reception toward it. Now, according to Booster, Martian Manhunter scanned his mind. And here's the strange thing, though. Apparently, get this, they also had it where somehow Martian Manhunter was somehow immune in this book to the effects of the memory wipe. But yet in the Page of Generation Lost, that's kind of not the case. Yeah, I thought this was kind of weird. The fact that it was like that. So he goes back to the JLI days, hangs out with Blue Beetle. And then they do a bit of a time travel thing where they go to World War II and they run into General Glory. Now, if you're curious though, who the heck is General Glory, you might ask? Well, he was a character who showed up in Justice League Quarterly. He's an alleged World War II superhero who apparently at one point was put in a nut house, according to his sidekick, for drinking his own drool. And you're thinking, really? No, seriously. So yeah, his first appearance was back in Justice League America, issue number 46. Yeah, of course, basically they would write this character. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the way they wrote him in here, I do appreciate how they wrote him in here because the guy was annoying. Really annoying. Yeah, it's interesting though the fact that while revisiting their run, they bring back him. Yeah, he was a character I don't think anybody expected to bring back, but he did. Yeah, and he appeared for like one issue, issue 38. And he's here with a guy named Ernie, who is obviously a play on Bucky. Yeah, and here's the thing. The guy basically is scared of what he's doing. Like, according to him, Mitch has been shot 6 times, and yet General Glory will let him carry a gun. Now you might be curious though, did Bucky Barnes in the original stories, did he ever carry a gun? Yeah, he did. Cap did too. Though later on they wrote him as pacifist for some reason. I don't know why, it's weird. Yep. As, like I mentioned, why in the world he was featured here? Well, he was probably featured in the book, and this is my personal theory, probably because they probably feel like it. Yeah, I think so. There's also something here where they travel to another planet named Estridia, which of course, this I found to be so hilarious, the fact that... Oh, by the way, they also run the viral docs in these issues, yes. You're probably thinking, who the heck is Viral Docs? He is Brainiac's son. No joke, he's Brainiac's son. His nickname is Brainiac 2. And by the way, he does have a son. Yeah, and from what I've read, his mother raped the father. Yes. Yeah, basically they made a female character rapist. Yeah, I don't know why in the world this for. Yeah, in case you're curious though, has Viral Doc's son met his grandfather? Yes, they actually met in pages of Rebels. Yep. Now, thing is, my only guess is the reason why that Keith Giffen and JM probably brought him in is because they are the ones who, because Keith Giffen practically created the Legion, so of course, basically, he bring him in. So you could say for these issues here, it's like basically Keith Giffen and JM the Mighty, if that's how I pronounce the name. It's like each issue is a love letter to something they did. Having Barrow show up, Legion. For General Glory, it was, of course, the Justice League JLI stuff. And, of course, the other issues with him with Big Barda, Mr. Miracle. It is interesting, and, of course, running to Max the Lord. Yeah, they also run into Maxwell's mother. No, seriously. They run into his mother when they go into World War II. No joke. They seriously do. I hear her name is Naomi Lord. Yeah, and the fact that she mentions, oh yeah, her husband is Maxwell Lord the Third. Yeah, and the fact currently he's dead in the current continuity. Yep. And mentions, oh yeah, her son is a bad boy. And she's like, I don't have a son. Yeah. You want to know the strange thing about Maxwell Lord? In the reboot continuity, they made him a parent. Yeah, which is probably a nod to the movie, the Wonder Woman 1984 movie, because prior to this, his daughter never was mentioned in comics. All of a sudden, yeah, now he's got a daughter. Yeah, so this book, like, I can't wait to review the rest of this run for these two, but I thought it was just really good. I give this book a 10 out of 10. And you probably ask, Nick, why are you giving Booster Gold, this character, his series, a 10 out of 10? Because his books are good. Really good. Yes, he has never had a bad issue his whole series. Alright, next up is something just as awesome as that one. We have the third and last trade that collect issues from Legion of Superheroes Volume 6, Legion of Superheroes, When Evil Calls. You probably thinking about the cover. Is that Cosmic One the cover? No. Actually, that is not. That is his evil brother, the Cosmic King. No, seriously. That's his brother, the Cosmic King. Yes. Believe it or not, there's an evil version out there in the comics of Cosmic Boy, Saturn Girl, and Lightning Lad. And their evil counterparts are Cosmic King, Saturn Queen, and, oh, by the way, also in the Booster Gold book, there was appearance by Emerald Empress. Yes, seriously. She had to show up in the book for some strange reason. I don't know why. But I thought it was hilarious the fact they featured her. Oh, and she had no idea who the heck Darkseid was. I'm thinking, really? This babe had no idea who the heck Max Darkseid was? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe Keith Giffen should have brought up the fact, something that he kind of wrote for Legion, or maybe, like, oh, maybe you should brought up the Great Darkness, which is Darkseid. Yeah, probably should have. Yeah. You're probably curious, though, was Emerald Empress a creation of Keith Giffen and Jan DeMatteis? No, she's a creation of Jim Shooter. And you're thinking, what? Really? She is? Yes, Jim Shooter created her. Yeah. And if you're curious, though, yes, he is responsible for creating the Fatal Five. The most primary supervillain group, aside from Legion of Supervillains, the Legion of Supervillains, they're known to be enemies of Legion Superheroes. Basically, you gotta thank Campbell and Paul Lewis for developing Legion Superheroes over the years. This book, what's collecting this trade is interesting because this book collects the last 6 issues of Volume 3, obviously. 6. It also collects the Legion of Supervillains one-shot, along with Adventure Comics 523 to 529. Now, the thing with the Adventure Comics issues is that this is the Legion Academy issues, where it's like teen hijinks, the fact that twice, basically, they had to get their records swiped, and, of course, I believe, and by the way, the teachers at the Legion Academy are the 4 Bouncy Boy and his beautiful wife, Duo Damsel. Yep. Now, I should point out that originally, married couples were not allowed to be part of Legion Superheroes. That was changed, I believe, in the 70s. At least 70s or 80s, they actually changed that to where they, when they allowed, because they wanted more membership, they re-added Saturn Girl and Lightning Lad to the team, even though they were married at that point. Yep. Yeah, by the way, the Cosmic King, yeah, the whole thing with him, that's all in Legion Academy stuff. And that was in the last 7 issues of that run. And in case, here's the thing about Adventure Comics 529. The last issue released that series, and they've never brought it back. The series was concluded 12 years ago, and just not brought it back. But the issues under that numbering have been really good. And if you think about it, there's only been like 3 trades to collect. There was one where it was Superboy and Legion of Superheroes the early years, which collected the last issue of Volume 2 plus the early stuff for that stuff. Then you had the stuff collected in Volume 2 and this stuff here. The Legion stuff basically wrapped the storyline with Earthman because he died at the end of these issues. Yes, a character who was just created by Jeff Johns gets killed off at the end of this run. And I gotta admit, the stuff in here is really good. Paul, like, if you're a fan of Legion of Superheroes, like, if you're a fan of pure awesome comic books, I do recommend checking out this run for Legion of Superheroes because it is really, really good. Like, classic Legion, you get that here because just so good. Love it. I give this book a 10 out of 10. The writing here is done by Paul Levitz, who obviously does the book. He did the book at the relaunch. The artwork is done by Gerardo Borges, Jan Ray Claire, Phil Jimenez, HDR, Francis Portilla, Federico DeGino, Ransom Giddy, and Jeffrey Moy. The cover art's by Francis Porter and Jeff Mina. Now, my final thoughts on this run for Legion of Superheroes is that it's just awesome. Really good. Surprisingly, one of our quicker runs I've actually reviewed for Legion of Superheroes. Unlike, let's say, Volume 5, which had about 8 trades. This one's got 3. And this something I find interesting, though. They actually kept Paul Levitz on the book when they restarted. One of, like, 2 or 3 books that DC had when they restarted the continuity in 2011, they actually kept him on the book as a writer. And you're thinking, really? They did? Yeah, they did. Not sure why, though. He wrote that entire volume, which was 23 issues, which I have reviewed already. So, with this, basically, I have reviewed half the series right now. Yep. Volume 5, done. 6, just got done now. 7, done a while ago. 8 was done too. Yep. You might be curious, though. Oh, by the way, there's this guy called Chemical Kid who doesn't like what Dill Dams was saying. He's like, he has this line in the book. You like hearing yourself talk? No one's listening. And he walks up because he thinks that basically Duo Damsel is full of bullcrap. That's how Paul Levitz writes him. Interesting, Paul Levitz wrote this, Legion and Adventure Comic at the same time. Yeah. Now you might be asking, why the heck would DC bring back Adventure Comics even to have a Legion book? I have honestly no idea. I actually asked a friend of mine basically what if they brought back this book. This is about 7, maybe 8 years ago. And he's like, yeah, that'd be a great idea to bring back. Yeah, he would love that series to come back because the series is good. Like, they can make an anthology book again, like it was originally. But who knows? Because, like I said, it's been 12 years since the book ended. 12 years. Because the final issue of Adventure Comics issue 529 was released in 2011. It was August 2011. So basically, yeah, this year marked 12 years since his last book came out. Oh, and they kill off Cosmic King in the last issue of this book. Yeah, that was kind of weird. Yeah, all he is just the version of Cosmic Boy. And Gravity Kid basically goes into something else. He goes to Lance Patrol. You might be curious, though, is he seeing the game with post-Flashpoint? No. They don't bring back at all. Legion Academy is not brought back at all. Yeah, in the last issue, they actually had the graduation ceremony for these kids. Yep, they did. Which is nice. The final issue of the series makes sense. And here's the strange thing, though. They actually moved some of the characters in this book over to the relaunch book. Yeah, they did. I'm not sure why, but they did. And sadly, like I said, book ended 23 issues. I'm guessing because I did hear on the same time they had the Deathstroke and Demon Knights at the same time. My guess, low sales was probably the reason why I ended it. I mean, was that a terrible book? No. It was pretty good. It just kind of weird at the end of the book, the Legion disbanded in the final issue. Yeah, that was the only thing I thought was weird. Because Legion just disbands and it's not seen again for like a year. I mean, it's not seen again until the Infinity Inc. the Justice League Justice League United. Though, of course, they've appeared sporadically since then. The most recent appearance was actually the pages of Dark Knight Death Metal. Yes, that was the most recent they appeared. Yep. But in the case of this book, this run, awesome. Really good. Okay, so that's episode of you, and that's the video tonight. So tomorrow, stay tuned for copyright and anime reviews. Okay, next video. Bye.